Do you have a player that's constantly ruining the fun for you and your other players? Does he or she run around murdering everyone in sight? Find out how to deal with these pesky players coming up on the Nat 20 Knowledge. That was pretty good. I'll just leave that in. Welcome back to the Nat 20 Knowledge, your guide to becoming the ultimate dungeon master. I'm your host, Josh Schell, and I'm joined here with my two DM experts. First off, we have the back alley dungeon master back on the pod, Mr. Justin Ness. How are you doing, Justin?
How's it going, folks? Yeah, no, been doing good. I was just telling Josh here, he said, did you get a haircut? And I said, no, I just didn't gel my hair because there's no need to get purdied up. You know, believe it or not, I've ran the block a couple times and, you know, fucked all that needs to be fucked, you know? That's just what's going on here.
All right, Justin, your right hand doesn't consist of everything that needs to be fucked, okay?
You know what? Jill has a great time every night, okay?
All right. And the most consistent of our DMs, Mr. Shane Kirkham. Shane, are you also seeing Jill?
Jill, yeah, on weekends.
On weekends? Justin gets her during the week.
Wow.
And I get holidays.
All right. Well, if you're new to the Nat 20 Knowledge, we are a podcast that focus on teaching new and old DMs alike tips and tricks on how to improve their skills. This week, we are going to focus on the unruly players you may have to DM and how to handle them. But first, I'd like to let you guys know about Die Hard Dice. So Die Hard Dice is our sponsor for today and for the rest of Season 3, so get excited about that. They have the highest quality metal and polymer dice sets, as well as a very nice folding dice tray. And they make it super easy to match your dice to your class. So for instance, like Tyson from the Dicey D20, I picked up a gold ruby set from the Gemstone collection. They're like a nice red and gold, really matches Tyson's style, gets the fire and flashiness Tyson likes to roll with. So if you're looking to up your game, visit dieharddice.com and use the code DiceyD20 at checkout to get 15% off. Once again, that's dieharddice.com and use DiceyD20 for 15% off.
Did you say a whole 15 smackaroos off my full purchase? Oh, man.
A whole gosh darn 15% off, Mr. Ungelled Hair.
Well then, I best get on this nifty site you're talking about.
All right, so this week we're going to be talking about the players that don't add necessarily to the experience. They usually take away from the experience of D&D. Now, if you are one of these players, you might want to, you know, look deep inside yourself and ask why. It's cheaper than going to a psychologist. But so I've kind of narrowed it down to about 5 players that I find that could take away from, you know, the D&D experience. Now, not all these players are necessarily inherently bad people. They just might prefer playing this way, and you know, every group's different. You might have a whole group of murder hobos, and that's just how your session's gonna run. I'm sorry, but
is this your list that you've
This is a list I've looked around. I looked on Reddit and I looked at some articles, just gathering what people generally consider quote unquote bad players.
Are there any that you've encountered or played with?
There's a couple on the list. I'll go into them if we run into ones that I've run into, and we'll go into how to deal with them. Got my 5 players. I'm gonna list them off. If you guys think I've missed one, we'll talk about it too. But number 1, I think everyone saw this coming. So murder hobos. For those of you who don't know what a murder hobo is, a murder hobo is a player or group of players who roam around and kill every creature and NPC that you present them as a DM. They avoid the story and roleplay and go straight to the conflict. So I'm pretty sure almost everyone has run into a player like this. And I could see as a DM that being annoying because you put all this hard work and into constructing these NPCs and this nice story, and then your player or players just roam around murdering everything and ignoring the story. Mm-hmm. So let's start with you, Justin. How would you deal with a murder hobo or a group of murder hobos?
I mean, there's a couple ways to go to it. You know, plain and simple, you kill them. You know, they're abusing their power and they absolutely know it. And most of the time, these so-called murder hobos aren't even like their character alignment isn't even like chaotic evil or whatever. They're just doing it to be fucking pieces of shit. So you know what? Yeah, you kill them.
So your go-to solution is just murder the murder hobos. Fight fire with fire, as it were.
Yeah. Exactly. Or, you know, if he's your good buddy and he just does this every playthrough, but yeah, you just don't want to break that little heart, or maybe he's, you know, Maybe he's lending you his own Jill sometimes and helping you out. Like, I don't know. But anyway, you just gotta fuck with him, you know? Let him know that he's not the one in charge and that you, the DM, are. And you, I don't know, if he goes to kill someone, just
Take
put
your belt
him up
off.
against someone. Well, yes, that too. You make this fucking berserker knight and just, put him right in front of him, knowing that he won't be able to kick his ass, and then just throw him in the slammer. Or get him KO'd and throw him in the pen with a bunch of pigs and just leave him there. I don't know.
I mean, I can see that working for the one session, but they're gonna want to make another character. I assume if this player likes playing with the group, just murdering the player, I don't know if that'll necessarily solve the overall problem.
Well, then you just gotta fuck with him and put him up against NPCs that he can't beat. That's all there is. Or, you know what? If he kills one wolf in the forest, maybe a pack comes behind the tree that he didn't necessarily see, and he just gets mauled. You know, he's gotta learn from bad experience after bad experience, and I think eventually they'll get it through their head, being like, okay, I better play a little bit more passive, you know, or maybe let's kill everything as a group, and then that way it'll be a group interaction. And there'll be people saying, like, why are we killing everything? I don't get why you're such a fucking psychopath. Like, you know, I just feel it'll definitely help that way.
Okay.
If he's just there and you kill him and it's not working, he comes back again, he's freaking good and he's still murdering everyone. I don't know. Just kick him out of your group. Fuck him.
Okay, so yours is more of a discipline by negative reinforcement.
Ain't nobody got time for that, you know?
Shane, I'm hoping you have some positive reinforcement discipline to counteract that. Like, not that that's a bad thing. Those are some good points, kind of putting them in their place. But let's hear some positive reinforcement, Shane.
Yeah, I guess you just try to talk to him.
Okay.
And especially if you're playing in a big group and it's kind of the one guy who's killing everybody and ruining it for everybody. You know, just gotta talk to him like this. You know, this game is for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's trying to do something and get a different experience out of it. You want to kill everything, but a lot of other people want to talk to these people who you're killing. So maybe kill half of the amount that you're killing right now.
Or let them know maybe that there's a time and place. Yeah. Like, I'll give you fighting encounters, but there's
going to be a dungeon crawl with tons of things you can go through and wipe out.
So yours is, do you do this one-on-one or do you do it like as a group? How would you go?
Embarrass him.
Yeah.
There's again with the negative reinforcement.
I'd probably go to him just one-on-one at first.
Boo.
If I notice it happening or people are complaining about some individual, I'd probably go to them first. But if they keep it up, then you can embarrass them and put them on trial in front of everybody and then kick them out.
Good man. Yeah. Good man.
But I like Justin's earlier point too of, what was it?
I don't know. He said kill them.
You weren't listening.
Yeah. Killing them and putting them in their place. In the group I'm playing in right now, one of our players was pushing his luck a little bit. In an encounter that should have been we were shopping basically and asking this merchant, which is about general information. And on the way out, one of our player flicks a gold coin to the shopkeep lady, but this bodyguard snatches it out of the air and he pockets it. So the player confronts him. They argue. He shoves them. They start shoving and he draws weapons and attacks first. The bodyguard pulls out a club as well and just starts beating the shit out of him. And yeah, just ended up killing him right there.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, but there's a little bit of a story behind that, and there was reason. It wasn't like he looked down my shirt and I'm a fully armored man and I am opposed to that, you know, and then he just attacks him. No.
Our DM said, I kind of appreciate it. You know, that bodyguard has a story and a personality as well. You don't really know what's going on with him, but because you did this, because of what's up with him, he's like, all right, I got a chance to let out this frustration. You know, fuck this guy. I'm going to be justified in killing this guy. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take the opportunity to.
It seems like a lot of your guys' solution is murder the murder hobos.
Yeah.
I want to propose a different solution, and I know I'm going to get booed by Justin, but I think as a DM, there are ways to reinforce RPG, like when a player role plays his character, you know, here's some XP, here's an item, good job on completing this quest. I know if Noah were here, he does this a lot with his, you finished this quest, here's some XP. And it's not necessarily always fighting quests. It's like you successfully talk the mayor into giving resources to this area or something like that, right? And he gives you an achievement for like diplomacy or something like that.
Yeah, it's something I really appreciate Noah doing.
Yeah,
I like it.
Don't bolster his ego too much. But yeah, like giving that positive reinforcement for your players to role play and not always kill things, I think is another way of going about it. I think that should always be your main goal, is to positively reinforce story playing elements and role playing your character. I think you should positively reinforce that. If then they go against it, then maybe talk to them and then go to the final plan of murdering him or her.
You know, I got another idea. Not as gruesome, but might do the same effect here.
Okay.
Just like a man stuck in the desert, you know, he's looking for water. What if you just don't give him NPCs to kill? Every town you go to is completely abandoned. He loses the want to kill because he hasn't done it in so long.
So you put
just bleed him dry.
I love this idea. So you could do, I know this is a super controversial game, but like Fallout 76, how they have they just don't have any player character or non-player characters. They have notes or they have sound effects or something. Yeah. Or robots or something. Like you could have that where it's maybe they're in a temple or something and all they can find are these writing on the wall or something. They're not going to fucking fight a wall unless they're batshit insane, but that's a genius idea. I love that.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. I think we covered murder hobos. You guys happy with that one?
Yeah.
All right.
Fuck them. If you're one of them and you're listening, fuck you.
Well, no, that's not always true. Like if you're a DM and you love running hack and slash combat campaigns and your group loves that, then there's nothing inherently wrong with it. But it's when there's one or two that are ruining the role-playing experience for the rest of the group. That's kind of the negative. So the next player I have on this list is not necessarily a bad person. Sometimes it can take away from the experience. So the quiet or shy player. So the player who rarely talks and avoids role-playing.
It's Rogar Ragnak.
He's coming out of his shell pretty well, actually. So this player, they're not inherently a bad person. They're just maybe a little shy and a little nervous to talk to people or act out. And I think this one's probably the most common one you'll run into, because there are a lot of people, especially in Dungeons and Dragons, who are a bit shyer. You know, they're not as outgoing as some other people might be, and there might be some players that overshadow them when they're role playing. So, well, Shane, you're kind of a quiet guy. You're a shy guy.
Yeah.
How would you like a DM to approach you and maybe get you out of your shell, whether in game or out of game? Beat you? Justin, get the belt.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard.
You know what? I have an idea. I could help Shane out here.
All right, let's hear your idea. I always love your ideas.
All right. So you know what? You throw a party. You run the 7 minutes in heaven, but instead of just 2 people, you throw them in with like 12 people, and you lock the doors and you say, "You're not coming out until you're social." Okay, you piece of shit.
I'm confused whether you're talking about real life or the game.
Real life.
Okay, don't do that, ladies and gentlemen.
It has to happen in real life, because otherwise you won't learn anything, and then he won't do it when he's playing D&D. I don't know. Most of the people I played with are pretty good about that stuff. I feel like you have to put them in situations where they just have no choice. So like if the rest of the group is trapped in this net or something like that, and he's the only one that has access to like pulling the lever to release it and stuff, but there's like guys in the way and all that stuff. Like I feel like in that alone situation that he or she has to come out and grow those nice hero. Balls that we all want, you know, and just
I think that's a good idea.
Do what you gotta do.
Yeah, for sure. Like giving them that opportunity to be the hero, to have to role play, and maybe save the group. If the players all love your character for saving them, then they'll be probably less shy around the group. Mm-hmm. I think another way,
back a good berry here and there, you know, like a little save goes a long way.
I think a way that out of game that you could help one of these players is maybe starting off with a smaller group, so maybe 3 to 4 players instead of like a 6 to 8 player group. Because there's less people, so they may be less anxious about speaking out, and B, because there's less people, so there's more of a role they have to play in the group.
And starting them off in a group with somebody they already know too.
That's a good one too. Yeah,
that's something. I don't think when I first got into D&D, it was because I was with Amber.
Okay,
to start it.
Yeah.
And I was looking for D&D groups kind of before wanting to get into it, but I didn't really know anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I never joined one. But once Amber said, hey, I found a group. Do you want to play with me? And I was like, yeah.
No, that's a good one. All right, so moving on to the next player, we've got this one. This one's going to be tough because it really depends on the kind of group you're in and how close you guys are. This is the creepy player. So a player who constantly makes weird or perverted comments that make other players uncomfortable. Fievolous.
Whoa.
No, that's
those
different.
Cheese jokes are golden, you know it.
That one's different because we're all friends and we all make those jokes together anyway. So that's a different story. But if it's only one player making like weird or sexual comments towards other players that they don't really know, or making other players uncomfortable, like how would you go about dealing with that, Shane?
It sounds like kind of a ground rules I would start at the very beginning of the campaign or the sessions.
Yeah.
Just kind of establish how much you want to get into that. You could be like, everybody can say what they want.
Yeah.
Try not to be offended by what other people say. They might think it's funny and doesn't come off right, but you can also say we want to keep it pretty clean and no swearing and no creepy perverted jokes, and then you got to kind of respect that.
Yeah. Okay. So you're kind of just lay the ground rules off of the bat.
I think so.
So maybe if you're playing with
Shane, what if that doesn't work?
Laying the ground rules?
I think you can go with
they're
warnings like
fuck my DM, I'll do whatever the fuck I want.
And then treat him like a murder hobo, just keep killing him.
I think a cool thing you could do is maybe lay those ground rules. So say if it is no swearing, this one's a rare one. I don't think too many groups would go with that.
Mm-hmm.
But say it is no swearing. Cool thing you could do is maybe like a swear jar. And then after like the session's done, maybe you could use it to buy the person who scored the least a pair of dice. Something interesting, right? Like something that reinforces that could be an interesting.
I remember when I was 4.
That's just a way. Like it could be like sexual comments too, right? Like
yeah, no.
Every
guess.
time you make.
But then it's like, guys, there's not enough money in there for somebody to get a dice at the end of this week.
Oh, I guess yeah. Then it reinforces the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
you know what? Got a big solution here.
All right, we're listening.
All right, so Pervy McPervertson is, he's making sexual comments, and he's always taking off his clothes and stuff. I don't know what kids are into these days, but anyway. So you could put like an NPC guard for that kind of shit, just someone that doesn't tolerate that sort of thing. And when he says like a comment, just have the NPC like throat punch him or chop off a finger or something like that. You remind me of my father.
Let's role play this for a second.
Okay.
So say I'm a character and I start talking about something weird. I take my pants off. No, I put my hands down my pants.
Whoa, I'm very uncomfortable with you putting your hands down your pants.
Yeah. What the fuck?
I wish there was something could happen.
Yeah, were you raised on a barn? I hate people raised on a barn, and then you just make the guard walk over and throat punch him.
All right, that was a good role play session. I think everyone got the idea.
Or, you know what? If they're a mouthy individual and they always say like, take off your clothes, like that sort of thing. Get your NPC or a player to chop off their tongue, and then their character can't talk.
Oh. That's an interesting way of going around it.
Problem solved. But next question.
The player could still say the pervy things out of character.
Yeah. I think the best way is the same with the murder hobos is I'd get them to just talk to them. Either after a session that they made a bunch of comments, just be like, hey, can you cool down these comments? Kind of like just like a strike system, like strike 3, you're out. Right.
True. And if they keep showing up, you just gotta get a group in the dark alley, and as soon as he walks out from after the session, beat him with bats.
Don't do that. Talk to the player.
I like to think Justin's back alley games are like super clean, PG, but he does all the worst things when people break the rules.
Yeah. And that's why it's so clean.
Yeah.
Not a swear word was uttered in Justin's games.
If I lay down some ground rules and they're broken, consequences are
they're coming.
to be paid for. That's just how it works.
All right, well, let's hear what Justin's discipline actions would be for the next player. So the next player is the liar.
Oh God!
So you ready for this one? So the liar is a player who always seems to roll a nat 20, or always has a quote unquote spell or ability for that, even though they don't. So this one I find would probably mostly happen in a online setting where they're rolling by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
it's harder to do in person, right? Because everyone can see your roll, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Well, sometimes you're like, don't look, it's bad luck. So everyone looks away and they're like,
all right,
well, Nat 20. Oh my God.
Yeah. I rolled my 8th Nat 20 in a row. What are the odds?
What happens?
So let me go with the online way of maybe avoiding this is to have players roll using the online dice roller. Like if you're on Roll20, it has a dice roller. Just make it a rule that everyone rolls on that instead of rolling their physical dice. It's not as fun, but it saves that.
Everyone's able to see it and everything, yeah.
Yeah. And on Roll20, for example, DMs can see all the characters' character sheets. So you'll be able to see if they're, quickly last minute changing those spells.
Interesting. That's a good one. So I think in person, the way to avoid that is to just constantly getting an update from your players on their level, kind of their abilities, new ones they have.
What spells they have prepared for the day.
Yeah.
Just things like that.
Yeah. And Noah always does this with us. He's always like, oh, like when you guys leveled up, what are your new abilities, stuff like that. First of all, it's more interesting for the gameplay because he can put you up against things that allow you to use your abilities, or they can put you up against things that he knows your abilities don't have. So you have to get more creative. I think always just being up to date with your players' character sheets is probably the best way to avoid that in person. And in person rolling the Nat 20, just watch them vigorously, or check if they have a weighted dice. I think this one's probably more rare. I feel there's not too many people that do this.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I guess if you are suspect, just call them out too. Even just calling them out might make them stop.
Might make them a bit nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The third Nat 20 in a row, you just yell, liar! I know you're a liar.
Just get the bell and start yelling, shame! Ding, 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 shame!
Or you know what? You fight fire with fire. You lie too. Oh my God, he rolled a Nat 20. That just counters yours, I guess.
This is something I want to talk about. Do you fudge dice rolls as a DM?
I wish we had Noah here too.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I don't play DM. As a player, no. I've never fudged my rolls.
I don't want to ruin my integrity, but
so that's sometimes,
a yes. Sometimes the 1 turns into a 20. It just happens.
I don't think Noah does. Clearly, because 2 of his bad guys have lost terribly in the last season. Mazur,
fucking dark Mazur down.
Yeah, went down.
Good guy.
1 round. So clearly Noah doesn't fudge rolls. That's very apparent.
Maybe he does fudge rolls to make them really bad.
I don't think he'd do that. He was very disappointed that his character went down.
He's just trying to boost me up.
Nope.
You piece of shit.
I can promise you he doesn't do that. Just.
But no, I've done it a couple times, not in the sense of like for my guys, but for their sake. Like if I just start off a campaign and they go up against a couple bandits and stuff, and the bandits get some high rolls, and they do 8-9 damage. They only have 2 health, and then the guy rolls a nat 20. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want them killing off the person right now. So I'm like, oh no, they missed, and I just kind of like give them that chance. Sometimes if you don't fudge the rolls, you're kind of fucking your campaign. And if you keep murdering your people at early stages, like they're not going to want to play, or they're going to be like, this guy's a shit DM. Like, why just keep putting us up against bandits? They're so hard.
They're killing me. Yeah, that is not the answer I expected from Justin. Wow, he's got a heart. Wow, I don't.
Sometimes.
Shane fudges it the other way.
Yep.
Not one,
guys are
not 20.
This is going too easy for my players. 20s.
20s.
I roll 3 of them. You want to look? You can't. It's behind the DM screen. There's notes back here.
If you look behind the DM screen, that's minus 100 XP.
Yeah.
So you don't fudge rolls?
No, I do.
You do?
But usually it goes both ways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll throw in some saving nat 1s for the enemies, or some nat 20s to put them on edge if they're having too easy of a time.
That's fair.
You piece of shit.
Tweet at Shane again. This is the second most controversial thing he's said on this podcast. I don't necessarily blame a DM for fudging rolls to a point. If it's constantly getting 20s and I'm like, okay, I only have 1 health, stop 20ing me.
Yeah.
Then it's like a little ridiculous. But if it's to move the story and make it more interesting, I'm all for that. It's going to vary between groups, right? Whether you want to challenge your group, or whether they're doing really badly and you have to help them out a bit. So a little off topic, but back to the players. I think we covered the liar player a lot. The final player on my list is the anti-team player / the So this is the player who's constantly ruining the team bonding experience for more selfish means or just to ruin other players' fun. I've definitely had this player in one of my games. I had a player, actually, I think Justin was DMing for us.
Can I hear a name?
No, I will not tell you the name.
I know who it is. I know.
Don't say the name. But this player was constantly like, so say I was walking and I ran into this room and I searched the room and Justin's like, oh, you find a chest in the corner. He would immediately be like, oh, I opened the chest. And it's like, well, you're not in the room with him. You're not near the chest. Well, why would you get to why would you get to the chest first?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I didn't say, but I'm there. I'm in the room. And it's like, okay.
I run over.
Yeah. It's just selfish playing, right? It's like, it's not allowing other people to experience things. And then there's also players who are just steal things from other players, even if that's not their character, you know? Mm-hmm. Oh, you have a nice axe. I'm going to take it. Like, like that kind of thing. Even if their player's not evil or, you know, selfish, they still will do it. So how would you go about dealing with this type of player, Justin? How did you deal with that player? Let's go with that.
He moved.
He moved.
You just gotta put
a cop out.
No, it's the same thing with the guy that's going around murdering everyone. It's just, you know, punishment. Some players only respond to that. You know, it's I guess it's like an alpha thing, but I don't really understand it because the DM's always the alpha. I'm fucking God, all right? That's just the way it is. You can't be in every fucking room claiming every single goddamn prize. I don't know. Sometimes players do it because they feel like maybe they're not getting the amount of loot that they want. Like, I know in some cases people are always loot hungry, but if you don't give your players something after 3, 4, 5 sessions, like it might be a little dry for them and they just kind of have to create their own loot.
That's fair. So maybe trying to distribute the loot fairly evenly.
Yeah.
Kind of
as a DM, like when I plan stuff, there's loot in every single session. It's just if the players go there, it's there, and if they look in the right spot, I planned it to be there. But sometimes if your group's super direct and you don't really have the explorer types that like to kind of like look around behind like a brick that you can move that moves a wall that goes to like a treasure room or something like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe encourage them to do perception checks in every single room and just like look out for those things, because some players just, you know, either they don't know or it's failed them so many times that they just don't bother. I don't know.
How about you, Shane? How would you deal with the anti-team player?
Yeah.
If not, kill them. Kick them out of the group.
All right, that's for everyone, even the quiet, shy players. Just kill them if they don't adhere to your rules.
You know, when you murder the character, they'll say something. What the fuck, Justin? And I'll be like, well, your character didn't say anything. Like,
I thought he was dead
there,
anyway.
and the guy's like, yeah, I'm going to spear you through the throat if you don't say anything. Happens.
All right. Back to the anti-team player.
I just not let them do it. I kind of explain why, or punish them as well. Using your examples, Josh, like you're opening the chest and the guy says, well, I'm going to do it. I'd say, well, yeah, obviously either, well, you're not in the room, or this is what Josh's character is doing right now. He's kind of got it covered.
Mm.
You can do something else in the room. There's these other things going on that you can investigate and look at.
So giving them other options.
Or I even just let them help you somehow. You know, they can move up to, you guys can open it together. Maybe you'll spot that there's actually a trap there and kind of save him.
And then he loves me.
Yeah. And then you guys can just split it if you loot or whatever.
That's not bad.
But then, if they're like trying to steal from their party members and it's not their character, I'd start punishing them for playing out of their character, going away from their alignment.
Taking away inspo points, stuff like that.
Giving them disadvantage on attacks.
Fair enough.
Make them lose a leg.
My DM just negates experience. He'll start dropping experience and even levels if you do it too much.
He's crazy.
No, that's not a bad idea. That's a good way.
That's actually a good idea.
I think story-wise, well, those are the players. Do you guys have any other players that you've had that maybe fit a different mold, a different criteria?
The criers.
All right, Justin. Well, if you keep murdering them.
In not every person's group, but, you know, there's always someone that feels like they're not getting this amount of XP, or I didn't get a special weapon. And it's like, well, you're dead, you know? deal with it.
You're dead again. This third character. I don't care. You shouldn't have cried in front of me.
These are some honorable mentions here. Yeah, just, there's some people in groups that just, no matter what you give them, it's never good enough for them. So, yeah, I don't even know how to solve that. I guess just kill them and kick them out of the group, Seems to be the easiest thing to do.
You could maybe just stop giving them stuff, and then they'll be more grateful when you do give them something.
You're right. This is the whole desert analogy all over again.
You don't give them water.
You just don't give them shit for a whole season. Where is it? And then you show them an iron sword, and they're like, "Oh God,
I love this. Thank you, Sir DM.
I'll treasure it forever."
Any players from you, Shane?
Yeah, the metagamers or backseat gamers, I guess. Backseat players.
So metagamer meaning they're always trying to game the system?
A little bit. I guess I was kind of thinking more like, so for example, in a encounter or a session, right? Some player's turn. He says, "Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to move over here and attack this guy." And as a DM, I know, oh, he's moving. He's going to trigger 2 attacks of opportunity. I'm going to get to roll some dice and attack this guy, right?
Yep.
But this other player's going to be like, well, if you move, you're going to trigger 2 attacks of opportunity. And then the original player's like, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to do that now.
Oh, interesting.
That really annoys me because
I feel that happens a lot.
Yeah. I get really excited because that's what I want to do is attack the players. So
you want them to die.
Yeah. It takes some of the fun out of it for me. Yeah. And just like in encounters, even social situations, one player is interacting with a character. So I want to be talking to that player as the character. And if other people start chiming in and talking in as well, it really annoys me.
Right.
Because it takes me away from the actual player in the encounter.
Okay.
No teamwork talking. Okay. You know what? You stick to your guns and that's the way it is, folks.
There can be teamwork, but it's got to be done in character.
And your character has to be in the room.
Your character's got to be in the room
want input
with the other characters. If they want input, you can't influence another character in making their own decisions.
Okay. I feel that depends on the group too, right?
Probably.
Noah loves doing that kind of stuff. He loves doing this talking and strategizing and stuff like that as a group because it comes up with some funny moments. But that's us personally. But yeah, no, that's not a bad idea. Maybe having a talking stick or something could be a way to combat that.
Yeah.
If you're in the room, you get a talking stick. If you're not, shut up.
Yeah. It is definitely a situational thing. I know for the Dicey 20, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of your stick. Everybody talks whenever they want and throwing in bits, right? And it works that way. But definitely if it's like off a podcast in normal basement sessions,
it can be annoying.
It could be annoying.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I can understand that. I think we covered a lot of the players. If you guys have an annoying player trait that you've encountered as a DM or as another player, feel free to tweet us or comment below. Let us know what type of player it is and how you guys dealt with it. So moving along, we're going to actually move into a new
segment.
A new segment of the Nat 20 knowledge. So I thought it'd be cool if each time we did a Nat 20, we picked up a news article or something new in the Dicey D20 world. I've got a article from Kotaku.com, and it's quite the story. I'll link it down in the description down below if you guys want to read more into it. So this is posted on December 1st, and the title of it is Frosty the Snowman is probably a lich. So Frosty the Snowman is probably a lich. He goes into quoting a bunch of the part of the stories. So the old top hat is a phylactery. When placed upon the suitable snow body, allows the lich spirit Frosty to possess his frozen host. He charmed the children to be his thralls and is seeking to sow as much chaos before his finite time expires. He torments the people of the village with his vile broomstick staff. Quote unquote, thumpity thump thump is the sound of bodies hitting the ground as their life forces are drained into the aforementioned phylactery, feeling another chance at wintry destruction before the season changes anew. I just kind of want to, I want to get you guys' opinion on that.
Makes a very compelling argument.
I think it's way better than BuzzFeed's argument last week. I think it's a funny way to look at Frosty the Snowman, especially now that it's almost, it's December, it's getting into Christmas time. This is a perfect article.
Yeah.
Would you guys use a Frosty lich character in your campaign?
I'm definitely not opposed to it as a nice little holiday one-off.
Maybe he charms the player characters and they have to try and break the charm.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of interesting. How about you, Justin? Would you ever use a...
Oh, for sure. I'd probably make it like a frame situation where, because, Frosty's a good guy. And so I'll make it seem like someone's framing him and everyone wants to kill him. But in secret, he's just trying to live his snowman life in peace, not getting peed on by creatures out in the wild and avoiding that hot, hot sun.
That's good. I love this article. This is fun. So if you guys want to, go check it out. I'll link it down again. I'll link it down in the description down below, and you guys can give this more of a read. He goes into more detail of why Frosty is a lich. Anyway, that's our time for this week. Thank you for joining us. I hope it was informative as always. Thank you to Justin and Shane for joining me on this journey through the terrible players of D&D and giving me their insight on how to murder different players. If you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to tweet at us or comment down below, or we'll always respond. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Have a good night or day or whatever the hell you are.
It's night, Justin. You're drunk again, aren't you?
Yes.
All right. Thanks, guys.